Well, good morning everyone. It's Sunday the 21st of December and we're back at the headquarters of DevelopmentWA, and what we're going to be doing today is a simple, we're going to ask a simple question. If I was the project manager or the contract manager, whatever, for the Waterbank project, would I pay the invoice for the work that's been done to reconstruct the shared path? And I personally would be considering that very, very carefully, because I don't think the surface quality is up to scratch. What do I mean by that? I mean it's got more undulations and bumps and things and stuff like that than I would expect from a brand new path. And the way we're going to assess that, I mean, I could put a seismograph on my handlebars and things like that, but I'm going to do a seat of the pants assessment. And what I mean by that is I'm simply going to ride over a bunch of different surfaces, and I'm going to make a completely subjective or qualitative assessment about what's good and what's bad. And thankfully, in Perth, we're blessed with miles and miles and miles of shared paths, and a lot of them start just over this bridge here. And we can test a bunch of different surfaces of different ages, and then we go down to the Waterbank project and we'll see how that surface stacks up. So off we go. Well, at the moment I'm under the Narrows Bridge on the southern side of the river, and I've just ridden on the main principal shared path that runs down to Canning. And in general that's in pretty good shape, even though it's a couple of decades old. But what does happen with these paths like there, bang, root damage. This path is again decades old, and so you expect it to have issues over time with bits of it subsiding as the soil drops below it, or cracking from roots digging up under it. That's normal. You expect that on an old path. Now this bit of path is new this year, built by South Perth Council, I think, and we're heading for where the Rotto seaplanes used to leave from. And this is generally pretty good. It does have some slight corrugations in it, but they're not too bad. Now we're a little bit past South Perth ferry station at the moment. We're nearly 4 kilometres from the DevelopmentWA offices. Now this section of path is fairly old as well, and I've got to say, well, this side is pretty good quality. The other side of the path is not so much, and I think it's because they did a cheap and nasty trick when they upgraded this path. It probably started as just a concrete slabs. If we look over this side, you can see there's these kind of evenly spaced lines, and there's a line down here where there's a join, and I think what I'm on now used to be just concrete slabs. Path 90 to 100 centimetres wide, and instead of pulling up the slabs and then putting down a proper foundation across the entire width of the path and then putting a surface on it, on that section I think they've just put the asphalt over the concrete, and over time it's shifted and created quite an uncomfortable surface going in that direction. You'll notice people riding the other way will often ride outside the line of that join on this side of the path, because it's just not comfortable going across all those seams. But otherwise, this is a very smooth piece of path. The only bumps in it are spots like this, where they've dug the path up for a bit of trenching or repairs like here, and you get a little bump and undulation. Otherwise, I'm riding along here on the whole with absolutely no up and down jolting. The seat of my pants is telling me this is pretty smooth. Now, one thing you might notice is over on my left, there's a lot of people walking on a separate path. And in sections, that path is just concrete slabs. And I've ridden along short sections of that, and I've got to say, it's very uncomfortable to ride on it, because you're riding over all these concrete seams which shift over time, and they never seem to get concrete as smooth as they get tarmac. But do you notice that if you're walking or running on it? And the answer is absolutely not, unless there's a dirty great big lip that you trip over. Otherwise, all those fine imperfections or medium imperfections are completely ignored, because unlike on a bike you've got permanent contact with the ground, unless you're going over a jump, and so you're feeling the entire path surface end to end. Whereas when you're walking, obviously, you're putting a foot down, another foot down, you're not feeling that section in between your footsteps. And if where your front foot lands is a centimetre higher or so than where your back foot is, you don't really notice it, you just absorb it. So walking a path is not a good way to test the quality of the surface. Now, I can think of one way to test the quality, and that's just to go and get a nice big straight flat stretch of wood, 3 or 4 metres long or longer, that you know has got a flat edge on it, and you simply lay it down edge on the path, and then you look at it, you put it down that way, and you see if you can see any gaps, any light showing through underneath it, and then you measure those gaps, because obviously if there's ridges and valleys, that's going to show up with that kind of test. And I guess you'd have some kind of tolerance for how deep those valleys or tall those ridges can be, and how many you can have in a certain span. And if it's outside of that tolerance, well, you've got to go and relay the path. Now, I'm assuming there's standards which exist for the quality of laying paths like this. It's got to be Australian standards or West Australian standards for it. And I'm assuming that the contract managers at DevelopmentWA wrote those standards into the tender for the works up here. And I'm also assuming that they asked for test data from the contractor to show that the path surface actually meets the standards laid down in the contract or in the standards. Or if not, have gone and got someone who can independently assess it, because look, obviously I'm not qualified to do that. I can just tell you, as someone that rides a couple hundred kilometres a week, what a path feels like, whether it's a good one or a bad one. Now this is all pretty new along here. This is obviously all built for the Causeway Bridge. Whoops. And this is really nice in general. So, if you want to feel what a path should feel like, just come and try this out, because this is pretty good. I'm not going to say it's as smooth as butter, but it's pretty close. Now what we're going to do is we'll go over the Causeway Bridge, because this project works just on the other side here. Now there are a couple of defects in this path, but it's nowhere near as bad as Waterbank, that's for sure. Now when I say that, I'm talking about the asphalt bits that lead up to the bridge on either side, and the asphalt section in between the bridges. The surface of the bridge itself is kind of concrete. That's pretty ordinary. I don't think the concreters did a very good job when they laid the surface down. You can feel the difference. It's quite juddery and shuddery, and I can definitely feel some definite valleys and ridges as I'm riding across it. But that could be because of the slope of it. Imagine trying to get concrete to settle evenly when it's on a downslope. It's probably not the easiest thing in the world, getting it to set and dry and cure. But anyway, when we get on to now when we swap over to this section here, I could quite comfortably take my hands off the handlebars and not worry that I'm going to hit a bump which is going to throw me over the handlebars. That's how good the quality is. In fact, the only bumps you really feel are where they've laid down speed humps deliberately in order to slow you down for certain things. This is really nice. And then we're back onto the rough old stuff. It's rippled is what I'd say. I'm looking down to my right at a couple of kayakers going under the causeway, and the water surface is rippled. That's what the path is like. Think of ripples on the river. It shouldn't be like that. It should be smooth like a mirror. Now, we're about 8 kilometres from head office, and if you feel that you couldn't ride this distance, or you don't have the time or whatever, or you can't bring a bike into work, well, have no fear. Because what you can do is you can take a cat bus down to the bottom of town, and you can walk across here to this bike hire place. About Bike Hire. Looks like they open at 9 a.m. So yeah, you don't have to do don't have to come in early or anything like that. So you can come down here and, you know, hire some bikes. And we're only a couple of 100 metres from the start of the project. Now, I don't think you even really need to do a long loop like I've just done. You could even just hire some bikes from there for 15 minutes and come over to the project and essentially do a loop around the work site, and you'll see pretty much what I mean without having to go all the way around the river. Yeah, I wonder if there's an event on this morning. It's now, I'm not actually going to test the new section just yet. I'm going to hang a lefty here, and this is what I mean. You could actually do a very simple comparison test by just hiring a bike there, and probably even getting the manager of the company that did the path, put them on a bike as well, and just ride around here, because this path is fairly old and it has settled a bit in places, and there's a couple of little undulations in it, there's a few ripples, but that's the kind of thing you expect over time. Now here, they've obviously chopped out a section at some point and relaid it, so that's a little bit rougher. There's another section here. They must have cut this at some point, maybe to get access to the site. And sometimes you'll find those are a little bit bumpier or rougher than the original surface. I mean, there's another section there, this path is full of it. But on the whole, this path is pretty good. There's no corrugations in it. I don't feel like I'm riding sideways across a corrugated iron roof. It's kind of gentle ups and downs, like a gentle swell, but nothing that kind of gives you vibrations. And there's another bit of path over here. In fact, what I'm going to do is, before I test the new section, I'm actually going to go past Trinity, because there's a new path along there as well. Now, I'm riding over little bits of branches and stuff like that, and they're providing little bumps and stuff like that, but the path itself isn't. This path, again, is pretty good quality. This is how the new path should be. It should be up to this standard. Oh, gate shut. So, you know, it's a really very simple, you know, thing to say to the contractor. There's an existing path here which is old. Your path needs to be better than this, because this path is obviously deteriorated with time. And you can probably see different patches of colour. So it's different ages as well, done by different contractors. And really, you probably don't need to ride that far along here to get an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, I'm going to do a U-turn here at the rowing sheds, and we'll go back and test the path. And here, look, here it's quite rough. underneath the trees, and you might be able to see there's lots of cracks in the path because obviously the tree roots are digging, really getting in under that. So, you know, you can deal with that as when the path's 20 years old, but it shouldn't feel like this. I shouldn't hear my panniers on the back rattling on a brand new piece of infrastructure. That's actually probably a pretty good sign. If I can hear bouncing on the back, you know you've got problems. Now, I'm not saying this path is terrible. I mean, it doesn't have trip hazards and stuff like that. It's just compared to all this other beautiful stuff we've got around the place, it's just not up to par. All right. I guess the first question is, what colour is that? Is it black? Shouldn't this be red? Or is it going to age with time? Now, I'm not hearing my thing on the back bouncing around, but you can certainly feel the difference. I can feel the difference through my arms with the boom, 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 and I can feel it through the seat of my pants. It's just, like I said, there's just lots and lots of ripples and stuff like that. Now we'll go back and give it a go in the other way, because I want to take you out to East Perth and show you a similar project out there which was done earlier this year as well. Now, as much as I've been dumping on the path surface, good aspects, well, it's got concrete edges, which is good, so it'll stop it cracking up in the future. It seems to have been raised in parts where it's flooded in the future, which is fantastic. There's lighting. Don't know if that lighting's connected at the moment. And I say that because when they put the new path through Kings Park, what was it, last year? It took about 6 months to get the power connected. So the path was closed after 6 o'clock at night because of the lack of lighting. It didn't stop anyone riding on it, but that's what they were doing. And I can see they've got CCTV cameras. It's good line markings down the middle. Although for some reason they put road ahead here, but they haven't renewed the line markings here. There's this little section, I guess you call the gap, the missing link, that has been left out for some reason. All right, let's go to East Perth. Okay, this is another new section, which was obviously built when the Matagarup Bridge was installed, and this is pretty good. Again, it's subsided a little bit in places, and there's a little bit of root damage, but not much. But again, the quality of this path, which is old, is better than new stuff back there. Now, you might have noticed this morning, this video has shown an absolute truckload of people walking and riding around the river, which is really good to see. And that's the kind of thing that's the benefit of the product, whatever, of having high quality walking and cycling infrastructure, shared infrastructure. And that's why we need all these paths to be high quality, to get people out and about, so they can enjoy, you know, a bit of exercise and sunshine and fresh air and all these little social groups, or family groups, all that having a chat. It's really good to see. You know, you don't see that in places where this kind of infrastructure doesn't exist. So it's absolutely crucial that you get it right and you build something that's going to last. There's no point doing a shoddy job on something and having it fall to bits after a few years and then no one wants to use it. It's just a waste of taxpayers' money. Now I'm going to start this little section down here near the Matagarup Bridge, and I'm going to show you this bit because I'll come back to do it because it's truly awful. This is exactly what you don't want. And this is a concrete path, and the slabs are maybe a bit over 1 metre long, I guess you'd say. and they've shifted in all directions, and it's an abomination. It just goes to show what happens as a path ages. You get roots and bits subsiding and all the rest of it. Yeah. I don't know if this was installed by the developer when they did the Claysbrook development, or if this was put in by the council, but whoever specified this made a real mess of it, that's for sure. It's probably the worst section around the Perth CBD area. So if you want a reference at the other end of the scale, this is it. You know, what's been built at Waterbank is on the quality spectrum. It's not as bad as this, but it's certainly not as good as the new stuff that I showed earlier. Well, we're now down near the powerhouse. What is it, the old Bayswater Power Station, whatever it is? And this section is almost new as well. They had to dig all this area up to move services. Of course, that's another DevelopmentWA project there. And maybe it was a DevelopmentWA contract that saw this section of path relaid. This is really good. This is top notch. It's nice and wide, it's well delineated. For some reason they didn't put down the concrete edging. It's got lighting, but it just feels nice. It's really smooth and quiet to ride across. But the bit of interest for me is just to the right here. Now I don't know if this was a separate contract, I don't know who did this, but this section was also ripped up for moving services. And when this opened up initially, the surface was just really rough. And obviously I wasn't the only person that thought so, because a little while after it opened, they closed all this off again, and they ripped all this up, and they relayed it, and it's now a really smooth, high quality bit of path. So I wanted to show DevelopmentWA this. It's quite okay to say to the contractor, we're not real happy with the quality of that work. You need to come along with your resurfacing machine, take that asphalt up, the milling machine, and have another go at it, because yeah, it should be as smooth as all these other new paths around Perth, and we're just not going to accept something that's not what Perth people deserve, or not what the people of WA deserve. All right, and here's another new section here again. This is just great.